5 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to Island Tea. Had no tea this morning, no coffee, but
Would you like to have some of mine?
what kind is it?
So it is a mixture of a lot of herbs.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I kind of lied. I did have tea. Now, what happened was last night after I came back from jogging, right? I did some after I had a shower. I said, let me do some moringa, and I added a lemon to it.
Ooh,
No sugar.
never tried that one.
And I did 2 cups, so I had 1 cup last night, and then this morning I just did the same thing.
That might be nice.
And I didn't no sugar. And
yeah,
then,
I don't do sugar.
and
If I
then,
have to get like a little sweetener, I put
yeah.
like honey, but no sugar.
thank God moringa isn't bitter.
Ah, thank God.
Because
it is.
When you're coming up, like your parents always used to make you feel like if something doesn't taste terrible,
that it should be fine.
no, like if it tastes terrible, it has to be good for you. Which to me, I always like, but that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Parent logic.
You know.
Let me not comment too much. I'm not a parent.
Kind of perverse logic now. Oh, it has to taste. Oh, if it tastes good, it's not good for you. If it tastes bad, that makes no sense to me. You know what I mean?
No, mine is gillyweed something, gilly hen. It's a whole bunch
Guinea
of
hen weed. Oh,
yeah.
really? We got that. Okay.
So there's this woman, she's my friend, and she's a small business, and they do teas and rubs. It's called Riches. Her name is Victoria Bascom, and they have like a farm in the Old Road area, I think it is.
Okay, so she sells it in town?
Yeah, they sell, I think they're in a few stores, but they also did, so I had one before that was for digestive health. So it had like moringa and neem and some other things. But then this one now is for acid reflux, because I've been having acid reflux.
Okay. Wow.
And so, but I absolutely love the tea. It's not bitter or anything, and I think it's actually working.
But you have to go and spoil it with neem. It is bitter.
No, this one doesn't have. You know what? Let me not swear, because I have no clue what this one really has. But I know, like, I went up to her table.
It's not bitter at all, right?
No, it's not.
So probably not.
But I kind of like bitter stuff.
Okay.
So I like that. I like that bitter taste on the back of your tongue. So.
I think one of the few things I would enjoy that's bitter would probably be Guinness and.
Yeah, I don't drink Guinness.
And.
No, there's something called Karila, like it's a bitter gourd, like the Chinese sell it. I think there are only like 3 persons in my entire family, and when I say entire, I mean like extended, that actually like it, and I'm obsessed with it. So, last night I was tormenting my cousin because I saw a recipe online where you can stuff it with cooked chicken and then kind of like steam it, and then it becomes so soft you just eat the whole thing. She hates this as much as I hate pumpkin, and if you know me, you know I absolutely hate pumpkin.
You hate pumpkin, but you like bitter gourd.
I love it. Like I do it sautéed with bacon and like.
Remind me to buy you a Guinness sometime.
But I hate Guinness.
So.
She drinks Guinness, and I absolutely hate Guinness. Like, ugh. The closest I've gotten to drinking something like that, there's this dark chocolate macassin that they brought out in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And she apparently drinks this. I don't understand. This girl does not
bitter. Macassin is
eat
sweet.
bitter gourd, but she drinks macassin and Guinness.
But macassin is sweet, actually.
Okay.
I mean, even
no.
Even sheltered AZ would probably like a macassin, you know.
I'm sorry. It's not about being sheltered.
Just like that, he jumped on you.
Let me say this. I'm not a fan, and I say it
of what?
Apologetically
of stout?
Of alcohol.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna talk about my bitter gourd.
No, of alcohol, and I make no.
So you don't drink at all?
To each his own.
Yeah, I make no apology, Jamster.
You don't have to apologize for your behavior.
Yeah.
Well, I understand. I mean,
I make no apology.
I understand if milk makes you drunk. I mean, you need to stay away from alcohol.
I don't drink milk either.
You know?
I don't drink milk.
So no, people got this kind of thing that if you.
But to each his own.
Yeah, if you don't. You're not a fan of alcohol. There's something's wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong with me.
Okay.
And I say it unapologetically.
All right, friend, drink your cider. No problem over here. I'll have the wine. Drink your cider.
You watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh, God.
Let me give him the look. You know the look that he gives when he's trying to figure out if you're lying?
But I might got a glass of wine here and there. I have no problem with that.
Oh my goodness. Listen, everybody has like their own, like for instance, do you like licorice? The candy licorice?
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
Nobody else does. So when we get like jelly beans, they give me all the purple ones, all the black ones, all the pink ones, because those are the bitter ones.
Yeah.
So to each
I like
his own.
licorice, yeah. I used to get. Hey, I used to. You know, when you're a kid, you always look forward to Christmas when you get all that
Candy.
cool stuff that you couldn't get here.
Yeah.
All the candy stuff that you couldn't get
Brax
here.
candy and the jelly beans and
that would come in from the States or wherever.
Yeah.
Yes, Brax. I remember those. Yeah.
obsessed with those. Those were pretty cool.
You know, it was funny when I was when I was studying, right? My cousin, he was like 8 at the time, and during Halloween, I would end up getting all the candy because my aunt was kind of paranoid about. There was an incident one time. I actually think it was kind of a semi-urban legend because I haven't been able to prove that it happened.
With the razors in the candy?
Yes.
Oh, I thought this was.
Did that really happen?
I've never seen it.
I never found any evidence, but she was adamant. Oh,
I was about to say this sounds like a Willy Wonka story.
She was like, when he goes trick or treating, I don't know if so. I used to have snacks I used to have snacks for weeks when I went to school. Like I'd have oh my God, the baby Snickers, Babe Ruth.
So you wouldn't even share with him after you vetted that there was no razor in it?
She didn't want him to eat them. But then I would tell her, but I said there's nothing wrong with them. You know, Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, I actually like those. Nobody else in the house does.
I
think I'm just weird.
Fun.
And see, I don't even have those that sweet kind of sweet tooth.
You don't have a sweet tooth?
Well, I do have a sweet tooth, but not one for like candy and Reese's and all of these.
What's your sweet? Like when you have a craving for something sweet, what do you go to? What's your go-to?
Was it you're like a Mansiport guy or something?
What in the world is Mansiport?
Miami apple. I don't know.
Oh.
I just figure it's gonna be something weird. You like you know.
What do you go for? Like for me, I go for Snickers, but it has to be the one with almonds. Like I don't like the regular one with peanuts.
The one, hardly ever see those.
The ones with almonds are like in a cream packet. So it's either that or Cadbury roasted almond. Like I like almonds and they're good for your heart. So that's like my thing. I'm like, I could have the chocolate as long as it has almonds because almonds are good for your heart. So that's what I console myself with.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, he likes smoothies, so I guess
No,
that's
but you like sweet stuff. So what do? Fruit?
Yeah, maybe fruits.
So you wouldn't eat like dark chocolate is good for you.
Yes,
eat
I love dark chocolate.
Nice dark chocolate bar.
I wouldn't.
A sweet one.
Let me say this.
Because some of them are.
Let me say this because I think you guys are a bit well jammed. So make me put it on the extreme. It's not that I wouldn't eat chocolate, but there's no longing to. Oh, I must have a chocolate bar. You can try saying if it's there, I might pick it up and eat it.
Which one do you like?
Yeah.
I mean, this would help because I would definitely not bring it in here because I wouldn't share it with you.
I can't even say that I have a favorite.
No, Cleo, dark chocolate is awesome. I mean, maybe you got the one that is too dark because they have different percentages.
Really good for you.
Somebody on the Facebook chat said dark chocolate is gross. No, it's not.
No, they're eating it wrong.
No, maybe you know what? Start with a Dove and then graduate because Dove is still kind of sweet even though it's dark.
Yeah.
But then they have like different percentages of it. Like if you go for 70% right off the bat, you're gonna hate it because it's an acquired taste.
What happened is big dark chocolate is the minimally processed chocolate.
Yeah.
And it's naturally
better
bitter.
For you.
Yeah, it's naturally bitter, so it only gets sweet when.
And then I don't like milk, so I don't really eat milk chocolate. So that's why like Snickers was probably like the only milk chocolate you see me eating like that. But I
so the Sadler's Secondary School has put out a notice saying that.
Yeah, we saw it. We were waiting for you. Yeah. We were kicking the thing along, waiting on you.
You see how he gone on the serious road now?
I know, and we were waiting for him.
He cannot abide having light conversations about pop culture and just talking about nothing. He always has to get all serious and...
you're getting dragged through the Burning Man mud.
So you guys already.
So it's like we in here talking about rainbows and cotton candy, and he comes in and he starts with, dead bodies and hurricanes. And, you know.
Lord have mercy.
So you guys already addressed the
No,
Sandals?
we were waiting on you, right? So we're
Okay.
like, okay, let's just shoot the breeze. When he gets in, we'll just get into it. But yeah, go ahead, read your notice, and we'll get into
Bring
it.
the depression.
Okay. So we had our little small talk. So apparently, this is an urgent notice, guys. It says that parents, guardians, please note that there will be no school today as there's no water in the Sadlers area.
Let me tell you, I woke up and saw people cussing out on my WhatsApp status that they lost electricity and water last night.
Oh, Sadlers?
And I was,
Oh.
people like in Taylor's.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope my staff makes it to work because I see her cussing out on her status last night. I see another guy said, thank you, Skelec, something.
You know,
But I was kind of out cold. I
part
don't
of
know
the
what
problem
happened.
is, part of the problem is the water pumps. Use
But the water
electricity.
is low right now
So,
because
I
this
know,
morning
yeah,
I felt
exactly.
like I had to go like all the way up to the shower just to get a proper shower.
The water was on till late last night. Considering
Not on
after
my
9.
end.
After 9.
Not on my end.
Really? Okay.
It usually goes around that time on my end.
Okay.
So I'm usually like scrambling to get a shower before that time.
So when I came back from jogging, right, I said, okay, let me go shower because
You better had.
knowing these people,
Exactly.
the water might be off already for all I know.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I don't know what time it went last night, but I know it did go on my end. But I didn't even know they had electricity going and stuff like that. But then this morning I saw the AG posting that there's a town hall meeting in Keon on Thursday with the PM and Honorable Congress Maynard and the, what's his title? The water engineer. I think he's like the head right now, Mr. Cromwell Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's a all over the place thing. Hopefully they address some of the issues. Because when I saw that Sadler's notice, I was kind of shocked. Because they always have like this thing saying that the country never loses, like the countryside never loses water. So
Yeah, but I know someone was asking me last week. We had WINNFM had a news story about the water thing, and he said he heard the tail end, right?
Mm-hmm.
He heard something about, unfortunately. So he was asking me if I knew if they had come back with the water testing that they were doing. But I told him, oh, I hadn't heard the story. But then I know now that they haven't tested the water yet for whatever reason. So they still don't know if
Which water? The one that's
the
in
well,
Keon now?
yeah, the
Oh,
well that they
uh-huh.
found. They're still, as far as I know, they haven't been able to assay the water yet to see if it's potable. You know.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, but let's hoping that works out, because he was also telling me that sometimes when they do wells, they have a lot of arsenic and stuff, which occurs naturally.
Yes.
Yeah, and he said depending on, but he was saying that. So he thought that, but I said no. I said I hadn't heard the story, but then I know now that they haven't tested it yet. So let's keep our fingers crossed for
And
for
toes
Green
at this
Valley.
point.
Yeah.
Fingers and toes.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like, I know they said once they're done with that, they're going to come down. So they're going to probably be looking into Shadwell area and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
look, other drilling area.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to send them
'Cause
best wishes because I want
Yeah.
it to be returned to my
Apparently, and apparently, I know the story said that they found more water than they expected. Just don't know
area.
yet.
Well, hello.
Which is good. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's always
We'll
good
take
to
more.
know. Yeah.
We'll always take more. This is just crazy.
Well, my hat goes out to the people in Sadlers because, which is why it's probably a good time to tell people. This is why I always keep bottles of water home.
Listen, the amount of water I have
yes,
stored,
me too.
it's ridiculous because I am paranoid when it comes to stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's a small, it's
Like
a small
I have
inconvenience.
them sectioned off, like, so this is drinking water. This
Yes,
is
me
water
too.
for
Oh, you too.
household use. This
Yeah,
is
me too.
Yeah.
You know what I use the coolant bottles from the car for like the water for like washing stuff and so if you have to do that.
Exactly. It's
And then
just
the
insane.
juice bottles for stuff, for water for maybe cooking and drinking and stuff.
Yeah. I have them in separate sections of my
Yeah,
washroom,
me
so my
too.
sisters know the difference. But it's insane. But I don't even know what people are going through in that area. And you can't even say, maybe some persons just don't have the capacity to store the water. Maybe by the time they got home, it was gone. They didn't have a chance to catch any.
Yeah.
It's just.
I've been doing it for months, and I try to rotate it too. For example, for example, that you caught some water like a month ago.
You gotta throw that out and start it fresh.
No,
Like,
not throw it out. I mean, use it.
Oh, like use it out.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
So that
okay.
rather than using the water that say I filled over the weekend, I would
Right.
use
Yeah,
water
you
that
gotta
I
use
filled
the
last
kind of
week.
old one.
The old
Yeah.
water, if there's such a thing.
No. I totally understand your system.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We had a call coming in just now. But,
really? Maybe it's about the water.
I guess they'll call back. So
Oh.
you mentioned the Caribbean Music Awards.
Yeah.
You wanted to add something?
Only because when I walked in, you were playing Kes.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, we're doing Kes this morning. Like, I'm totally in love with this man.
We have a call. Island T, I hope it's working. Island T, you're on. Hello?
Hello?
I'm hearing the line noise, but I'm not hearing anything.
we're not hearing
seems as
anything
though
at
we
all.
still have that problem. Okay.
Somebody
So-
on the Facebook thing is saying that there was also very late lunch for the children yesterday at Sadler's.
Oh, so they had school yesterday, but none
No,
today.
school
Oh, that's
opened
what it is.
yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So-
I didn't.
Yeah, so
okay.
yesterday, and also too, I don't know how many persons listened to the show on Patches, but the former Prime Minister was on there, and he was giving some take as it relates to, the school, the Bastille High School.
Oh.
He also mentioned the fact that the school in Molyneux had been burnt down.
Right.
And
That's the Joshua Obadiah School. That's now in the Explorers building.
Mhm.
Right, okay.
And since then, there seemed to be no work, any visible work in terms of construction of the primary school, a building to replace it.
Okay, so former PM Timothy Harris, Dr. Timothy Harris was on Patrick's show. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what is the school that they're merging? I know they're merging two schools.
Well-
Is that one of them?
Well, currently,
I think that's to be Estridge. That's the.
No.
Okay.
currently,
with-
that's
with
something
the-
else.
Oh, it's not the same Obadiah school.
Yeah, but I mean, just to differentiate, it's the special needs school,
What's
and
that?
they're moving it to Estridge. I
No.
think. Or down in
Is
that area.
it? Cotton
no.
Something
Thomas?
like that.
He,
yeah.
He's talking about something. Okay.
No, but she's asked. She thought it was. They were.
I know
merging
they were
with
merging it
Molyneux,
because it
but I'm
got
saying it's
burnt.
not
So you're
Molyneux,
saying it's not
another
that school, but is
It's
it the
another
Cotton
school then.
Thomas school that they're moving to?
Okay, wait.
No,
Stop.
right?
Stop.
Get our bearings straight.
So what they said is that the Cotton Thomas School will now have a branch
Oh, a
in
branch.
the country
Okay.
that's separate and
Okay.
apart
Branch.
from the Joshua Obadiah matter.
Thank you.
No problem.
But that's what I was saying.
Yes.
Yes. right.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
So it's not moving, it's a branch in the
Yes,
country.
yes.
Because it's
Okay.
difficult if you have students like that need that service
Yes,
to come all the way to
yes,
town.
yes.
Exactly,
Perfect.
that
All
makes
right.
sense.
So my bearings are straight now.
Yes.
All right. So now
So-
about this school that got burnt down.
Yes. So the school got burnt down, and I think it was sometime during last year, during the whole period where there was, the political battles, the elections. School burnt down during that time, or either before or during. I can't remember exactly, but school burned
I
down.
remember the drama.
And the former prime minister was on the show talking about that there seemed to be no headway as it relates to the reconstruction of that school. He also spoke about the clearing of the site where the Bastille High School was on, not the new site that they had suggested on the Team Unity, but actually where the Bastille High School, clearing that site, And so he was saying where priorities are, indicating that monies would have already been spent in clearing and making adjustments on for the school at the new town.
You mean where the aquifer was? Or
Yeah.
is?
But the argument, to be fair, that they were saying is that almost the whole Bastille is on the aquifer. So that
So
was
you want us to move Bastille?
no, but
No. I'm just listen. I'm being devil's advocate because,
No.
I mean,
they were saying
so
that
we relocating Bastille because it's on an aquifer.
no,
Because
no.
we're not building a school there because it's on an aquifer. But then you want us to? All right.
No,
let's
no.
go.
The arguments, there were
I know
arguments
exactly
for and
what's
against.
happening.
Yeah. So the Basti High School, the new site would have been in Newtown area. And the arguments against that was that it was being built on the aquifer.
I remember there was a big billboard.
Yeah. The argument for it was that, well, they have already done the necessary checks and balances, and if you're going to make that argument, then you could make the argument that the entire area in that part is on the aquifer.
All right, so we're moving past there.
The project that's there as well, and primarily a large part of Bastille. So, what the point he was making was the fact that millions of dollars would have already been placed there on the new site for the construction of the Bastille High School, and now they're going back to the old site to put the Bastille High School. So
why are you laughing? Because I'm sipping my tea?
Because you're sipping your tea.
What?
And so now he's saying that
I hate politics.
in addition to that, there has been no construction of a new, or it seemed to be no plans, in any immediate plans for the construction. A year has passed since the school in Molyneux has burnt down. They are now being facilitated in the building for the Explorers Club, and he's saying that, there seem to be no plans being made to at least reconstruct a new school there in the Molyneux area after a year. He also indicated, as you were saying, with the school meals program being late, delivering the food late to the children yesterday. I saw some snaps, some messages on the Facebook indicating that, up to 3 o'clock, children weren't fed as yet, who depended on the meal, and there was no communication prior to parents to alert them that their children was not receiving a meal on time.
Wow. So I'm going to backtrack. I mean, because, how long has Bastille Senior High School been without a school? I'm just going to leave that comment there, right? All right. So now the school meals program, that is a serious issue, because parents would have expected that their children would have been taken care of, especially if this is something that you're dependent on, that's where your budget is, nobody's thinking that your children didn't eat. And then what difference would telling them have made?
Well, maybe if you tell them that, we've run into some difficulties, parents would have made some provisions to ensure that, the child...
But they would have had to know before that the food was going to be late, or they ran into some difficulties.
Well, based on the information, and, this is without verification with the necessary person, somebody was saying that the reason, and this is, I did not verify or confirm that this information is correct before I say, but somebody was saying that it appeared that they were going through some renovation in terms of painting the facility where the school meal was. Well, the school meal is, so they was doing painting, and so...
On the Monday that school reopened?
It seemed as though painting was done very late. That is what some persons I have seen alleging. Whether or not it is true, I didn't do my own investigation to confirm it.
I really hope it's not true.
Okay.
I mean, how long has school been closed? You wait on the Monday that school opens to paint?
So... one of the thought that was a point of discussion that he had. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear the entire thing. You understand?
Is it 2 nights per week? Or?
I think it's 2 nights per week.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear the entire thing, but I know that he also touched the social security matter as to the development bank. He touched the water matter as well, but I don't think I reach as far to give what I could remember he said in relation to the matter. I know he was saying that work had been done, especially in the Shadwell area, and so to provide water. In relation to the social security, what I remember is that he's saying that social security didn't just lend monies to development bank, they lend monies to other entities. And why is it now that the focus is development bank alone? And he made mention of SCASPA, he made mention of NHC and other statutory bodies that would have received monies from Social Security.
Hold on.
Wait, you're saying Development Bank received... I never
remember
Yes.
Remember he said that
The PM spoke about it recently. The current PM spoke about Development Bank borrowing money from Social Security.
That one
but
probably never registered.
is these, you know what has me shocked? That both of us said, hold on. But, you know, his shock is not the same as mine. Other entities were borrowing from Social Security is a bank that we didn't know about. Because what's going on?
So yes, I'm going to see if I could capture some of the clips maybe later today where he said, and maybe we could have it played and discussed.
I'm so happy
that
I
would be good.
That
would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's 8:30 now.
What?
I don't know if you want to take a short break.
Yeah.
What?
Calm me down. Check out the story. You know what I mean? 1998. It's Vinny and Mojica.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Enjoy your summer with the Bank of Nevis Limited. It's that time, and the bank has the perfect summer loan package for you. Take a vacation, enjoy a staycation, advance yourself academically, or prepare your children for back to school. It's your choice with up to $30,000 unsecured loan with an attractive low interest rate. Additionally, up to 5 years to repay. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Offer ends September 30th, 2023. Bond strong.
It's Vinny and Mojica. Pete Rock. Hey, yo. Check this one out. Something smooth. Calm me down. Check out the story. You know what I mean? 1998. It's Vinny and Mojica. Pete Rock. Hey, yo.
Already? And we are back. 8:32. And so the plot thickens. As per AZ.
I mean, I don't even remember that show is on, so it's like I don't think I would ever listen. But seems like I have to tune in.
Well, I guess when it gets closer to silly season, then they'll start getting it on the radio.
This
as well.
year, silly season has not taken a break.
No, but I mean, Jamsa talk about silly season, but these are issues that.
No. What I meant was
He means
elections.
Meaning
but meaning the fact that it's not on the radio as well as online.
I'm
saying they'll
maybe
probably
closer.
It used to be online before.
Meaning it used to be on the radio as well as online.
Right, that's what I'm asking if it used to be online before.
But
it used to.
I mean, even though it's online, and let's be fair, a lot of persons tune in online as well, regardless whether it's on the radio. I mean, they will probably do that when the time comes because you have to look at the expense as well.
Exactly.
Because to be funding, radio at this point in time,
especially like 4 years out. Basically.
4 years out,
Mm-hmm.
it would be expensive. So maybe closer to the time, as you said, to get more coverage.
Yeah.
And then, but he does a fairly, I must say, looking at
Patrick, you mean?
Yeah, looking at, and I'm be fair, looking at the viewership on the YouTube, and so he attracts a crowd. The persons are listening. So let's be fair. She is sipping her tea.
But then the
all morning.
But then
What's wrong?
But then the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Jamster, would you like to have some of my tea?
For me, to be honest, I am looking.
You want to roll this morning, friend?
For me, I know Jamster has his humor, but for me, Jamster, I'm looking at it at all angles because, let's be fair, we want a better St. Nevis, and we have the former Prime Minister, we have the current Prime Minister, we have persons who have been in government during the last 7 years and before, who would have known some of these issues that have been occurring, and who would be able to speak on these issues so we could make a very informed decision.
I just have
going
one question.
forward.
So Under which administration did Social Security become the bank? Oh, wait, hold on. That's one. All the time we're talking about development bank and the money that they borrowed. Why is it now such an opportune time to bring up that other entities borrowed money as well, as if it's okay? Why is everybody borrowing money from Social Security?
Well, if
What's going on?
If Jamso would give me a minute to locate the exact time on which I could have it played, then we could hear from him.
No, go ahead. We can
So,
talk in the meantime.
yeah, so
let's try this call.
Yes.
Because I think one of the lines was
I'm in
working
shock. I don't know about the two of you, but this Social Security
Hello?
money thing is killing me.
Hello? Okay, so we're still having the line problem. So
What number is it?
I'm not. That's the thing. We
You don't know the
We
difference?
don't know which is which. No.
All right, so the numbers are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. So if you've dialed one of those, we're not hearing you. Could you try another
Try
one
another
so
one.
we
Makes
can know
sense,
which one
yes.
it's acting up?
Okay, let's try this one. Island T, you are on. Island T, you're on. Hello? Wow. Oh my God.
This is crazy.
So, yeah, I know. Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, so where were we? Yeah, I mean,
Wow. That's mind-blowing to me. Because
why?
I didn't even know all of this. Like, it's bad enough that one entity is borrowing. But then you throw
then
several others in the mix.
Exactly. And
What are those figures like?
and if they think that Mr. Harris is going to give up, they thought that he was gonna just go away, but
I want to know the figures.
and-
Like, you know what? Well, how much money Social Security got at this point? Has anybody paid back any of these sums that were borrowed?
because that raises a good point. I never even knew about the development bank thing, and then the others I never knew that either.
Nah, the PM told us about the development bank thing.
Yeah, as you said,
In
but
his
it
last,
didn't register. 'Cause-
Was it press conference speech when he was on issues? I listened the last time, and then I saw there was an article, something about 333 million or 34 million.
The way it was put over, I remember back in the way it was put over, that whole notion of the government borrowing from Social Security. It's just not the government. I never knew exactly what department.
Right. You didn't know what sections.
Yeah.
Right. The whole thing is just insane.
Island to Iran. Just trying to see which lines are and aren't working. Okay, so this one isn't working. Well, actually, that was one that called before, but I was just hoping against hope that it might work this time.
That's what I'm saying, Cleo. By the time we're ready to retire, there ain't gonna be any there. They need to stop.
We're going to sound like the U.S. How they're always moaning about how Social Security is going to run out of money.
Yeah.
Same thing in
I
the
mean,
U.S.
well, maybe that's the model we're using.
And which is why realize a lot of countries have raised the age. Like, France had riots for
You remember
for
that?
weeks.
Oh my goodness, they
Because
tore
of
everything
raising,
apart.
yeah.
But then remember the woman that was in here for Social Security last week. The age was raised in a couple other countries.
Yeah.
St. Kitts hasn't moved theirs, but I think Barbados and somewhere else. I can't remember right now what she said. I
I know
don't want to
some
misquote.
country.
But I think she said
67,
Barbados.
some
Yeah.
67, right? Yeah. Wow.
And somewhere else.
You
Two other
realize-
places, I think, moved the age up.
You realize because of modern science and so on, it's like how should I put it? 50 is a new, I guess, 40 or new 30? So
Right. Because they say 40s is the new 20s.
yeah. So who would have thought? I mean, who would have thought that?
So 60s is what? 40s?
Probably. I mean, who would have thought that a retirement age would be 67?
Right.
Because, like 30, 40 years ago, someone 67, hell, someone younger than that, you thought they were like 90.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
You used to be
mean?
like, oh my God, they're so old.
Yeah. And
But I mean, I don't know. We're going to have an older working force, but old in what sense, right? Because like you said, 67 is not that old when you look at it under, the way people are aging and, that we have better technology, health, all of that. But I still feel like these things should be made known
I feel
to
so
us
too.
so that we're the ones that are going to be affected. So the least you could do is tell us
Just
so we
tell
could
us
prepare.
Exactly.
It's just insane to me.
So I think. Oh.
But ours is still
oh.
62, right?
Dwyer is trying to get in. Maybe he's he's the person that's been calling. Dwyer, we've been having some trouble with the phone line
I
since
don't
yesterday.
know what's wrong with them.
Yes. Oh,
But
it's
we don't
such a
know which
pity.
one. That's the
We
problem.
don't know which one. Dwyer, if you can
Ask
call.
him to tell us which
But
line he
actually-
was calling.
Actually, Dwyer, why don't you call my phone and I can plug it in? Just call my phone.
Or and text us which number he was calling.
Yeah,
because
oh yeah,
some-
text it, yeah.
We need to know which one is.
Let us know which number you're
So-
calling for real, so we'll know which one.
You have the clip?
Because
I
we
have,
generally
yeah.
don't know.
A part of it.
So my technician extraordinaire,
Yes, I have something.
can we go ahead and play it, Jamsa?
Oh, yeah,
There's no
go
calls,
ahead.
right? All right.
No, no calls.
Go ahead.
But a lot has been said as well about the development bank of St. Kitts and Nevis, and a lot of has been made about some debt owed by the government or owed to the Social Security Board. Tell us from your perspective, what are the facts?
Well, I am surprised, and perhaps I shouldn't be, that the Prime Minister, who should really be a national leader, has brought the divisive politics into the bank. A bank that has done so much, that has led the way in getting our students here off to have an opportunity to acquire a university education through its program of student loan support. The bank that has done so much to fill the void in housing in our country, in support to agriculture, in support to farmers and fishers, that the Prime Minister should sort to scandalize the work of the bank with lies and innuendos. And perhaps it tells the character more, the sad nature of the mindset of the Prime Minister, rather than in any way diminishes the constructive role that the bank has played. Truth be told, the Prime Minister has not substantiated his claim in any real way. And I would be amazed that anyone in the Labour Party would want to bring a conversation up about indebtedness. Indebtedness was part of why the people in 2015 got rid of a Labour Party government. It was the administration before us that had bankrupted the country, that went to the IMF and secured a loan of $234 million to allow the government to function, perform its normal operation, pay salaries, buy medication, etc. for our hospitals and our schools. We had one of the largest public debt in the world. We were a failed state in that regard. And therefore, to me, the new leader of the Labour Party really perhaps is attempting to cast a reflection on his rival in the party when he begins to speak about indebtedness, because many of those entities had to take a haircut from the very government of which he is a part, that is the Labour government. Churches had to take a haircut, so the government owes quite a lot of people. One of the institutions that put up a resistance early to the government haircutting program was Scotiabank. And so the government before us left a legacy of indebtedness, one of the highest per capita debt to GDP in the world. It cannot now be talking about indebtedness. And indeed, the very indebtedness of the bank to which he spoke is in part made up of debts incurred by or under the leadership of the former administration. And we must ask, well, What is the special interest, this bias against the development bank, so that a leader of the country could try to come and attempt to scandalize the good work that had been done at the bank? Let him bring the facts. Let him say that when we left office, the development bank had millions of dollars of cash available. So this notion that the bank had challenges, there was a run on the bank, which was really a reflection of his lack of understanding of the nature of the bank, is really an untruth. But we must, by comparison, ask, well, is it the development bank the only institution that owes social security so that the prime minister should single it out? Why doesn't the prime minister speak, for example, about the debt that the National Housing Corporation, NHC, has with social security? That debt, which was restructured in 2014 under a prior Labour administration, total over $133 million. So here it is that the National Housing Corporation owes Social Security, restructure the debt. I think in that restructuring, Social Security had to write off about $40 million. So here was the NHC, 2014, under a previous Labour government, owing the institution $170+ million. And they restructured the debt, and you had a debt on the books, a 2014 by agreement of about $130+ million. We're not hearing nothing about that. We're not hearing anything about the debt owed by other statutory corporations. And so this is interesting. Why not? Why not tell us that Nevlec has debt there too? Why not tell us that the Nevis Island administration has debt with Social Security too? Why not tell us that Casper has debt with Social Security too? Why the singular focus on the development bank? It is street politics, and it is unfortunate at a time when we need all the national entities to be strong and working well to take the country out of the morass in which the Prime Minister has placed it. The government itself is seeking to undermine one of the best institutions that had served the cause of many who are otherwise ostracized from the financial system. The farmers, the fishers, the people who wanted their home done, and we could go on and on. The small businesses, so many of them financed to the development bank, and many of them, as a result of COVID-19, could not repay their loans. And if they cannot repay the bank, and we as a government ask the bank to be compassionate, it means if the development bank could not secure from whom it had lent a vulnerable class, then of course it will have some challenges in paying entities such as the Social Security. But the point has been made that those issues had solutions, they were solvable, and there was no need to create the sense that there were difficulties there that were unsurmountable.
Why is he upset that he's focusing on development bank? Just wondering. I mean, if everybody borrowing and development bank has the biggest sum outstanding, wouldn't it be one of the main reasons why you focus on development bank? What's the issue?
I guess he's saying that, development bank isn't the only entity that has borrowed.
But if it has the biggest deficit?
I don't know. Jamsa, what your thoughts are?
And there might be other reasons.
Not to make this trivial, but when he said 100 million, all I could see in my head was Austin Powers. I'm done.
So,
I'm done
yeah.
for the day.
Oh, behave.
So he is making the point that, and he's saying that the Prime Minister is making special mention to Development Bank because of who would have been at Development Bank and the relation to the former Prime Minister. And so now he's saying that there are other entities which borrowed monies as well. Whether or not Development Bank was the largest, borrowed the most, I'm not sure. Could be, I'm not sure.
Well, Jamsa made a point before. He said, all the time we were just hearing that the government borrowed money. It wasn't broken up into which entities they were. We just knew that the government took this money from Social Security and, the money needed to be repaid. It wasn't broken up in SCASPA. Now I'm hearing NEVLEC, NIA, my eyeballs doing some weird things over here.
But you know what's interesting though, and what's good about the discussion is that things are being discussed. People are being aware to some extent because everyone has the information.
I'm glad you said to some extent because I would have never known this if you hadn't brought it up.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
But the persons are, the different persons, because you have former PM, current PM, one saying one thing, the other saying another.
Debates during election
It'll be so
season.
interesting to have debates, election
debates.
debates. Imagine asking
Such a pity.
questions like, so what about the development man? What are your plans? These are where
What are your plans?
And we can have
Timothy could say what he just said, and then Drew could rebut.
We can ask
perfect.
substantive questions can be asked, incisive questions,
and you get them thinking on their feet,
substantive
and you get
answers,
to see
yes,
them.
yes.
I long for a time where our politics advanced to a point where we are debating issues rather than people. You understand?
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cut back on the mudslinging.
Yes.
Bring the issues to the table. Because let's face it, some of them bring out the manifesto so late that nobody even gets a chance to read it. And then the manifesto is just a bunch of promises. And most of the times they're not
not rooted in practicality.
And anything.
How good would it be for a political
Sometimes.
party to launch a manifesto and then have an audience with the general public, with the media, where persons are able to question them on the manifesto as to how these plans will be implemented, what has been discussed, how are you going to do this?
Has that ever been done? That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, but this is the level that I would hope that maybe one day we could get at when it comes to the politics, rather than just voting persons in who you might like, who seems popular, or just somebody who has sweet words.
I can have a beer with that guy yardstick. You know that. Remember that nonsense they had in the States about? I'm like, really?
At the end of the day, you want to put in persons who would be able to carry Sinkis and Nevis forward.
The other problem is we need to learn to hold them accountable. First of all, why are we not implementing more democratic tools? Why do we not hear about things? Why don't they come and ask us? Have a referendum. You do a town hall, but then it's just that's it. You don't implement any other tools where the public is given a chance to say something, to voice their opinion, to show and say what they really want. And then you do that for 5 years, you do whatever you want to do, and then you come back around election time and you come with some sweet words and you give them some money or promise them this, promise them that, and then you put these people right back in and you're no better off. It's time for us to actually pay attention to what's happening and hold the persons that we elected accountable. This is getting ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And when I think about the CBI situation, I've said it before, with the CBI being in the state that it is, more and more would leaders be, Kitishan and Division leaders would have to be more creative, more they'll have to be more creative as it relates to policies and initiatives that will push the country forward and create jobs and employment for people.
Tell me what aspect of that, the CBI, you mean, when you say where it is right now?
Okay, based on the regulations that have been put in place, the laws that have been put in place, based on the scrutiny from the external forces, We know that the CBI, based on what persons have said, that it is not the most profitable right now. And the revenue, if it is that it's not profitable now, and the chances is that it could be, for what lack of a better word, terminated, so to speak. When I say terminated, not saying that the program ends, but the way in which it functions and the flow of cash and everything is to a point where it's like a standstill and not really generating much. Then the country, because remember a lot of time we boast about the monies that we get from CBI, and those are the monies that are carrying projects and stuff like that. Government will now have to be in a position where they could generate income to meet its expenses and also ensure that employment is there for people.
Okay. Hence your comment about being more creative.
Yes.
I would say diversify, because you're absolutely right. The entire country was basically living off the back of CBI. I mean, I heard it was about 55 to 70% of the monies that the country was being run on came from CBI.
And so if
And now that they've changed it so drastically, the competition is ridiculous out there because the other countries haven't changed theirs.
And you realize more and
So St.
more.
Kitts is now the most expensive program. So who's buying?
And you realize more the US, the UK regulations are being put in place. Just the UK bring out a new
Visa requirements.
Yeah.
No, entry requirements.
Yeah, entry requirement. So even though we don't require a visa to go to the United States, now sooner or later, we would have to do an ETA.
You mean the UK? You said United
Yeah,
States.
the
Okay.
UK, sorry, yeah, the UK.
You know,
US is
they
more-
kind of been playing around with that since just after COVID, I think.
Also, we don't need a visa?
No,
For
we
the-
don't need a visa
for
for
the
the UK.
UK.
Oh, okay.
It's
No,
always,
I
it's
wasn't
always
really
been
I
that way.
wasn't really
No,
sure.
Dominica recently got their privileges revoked.
Yes.
And the rumor was that it's coming down. So it's coming down the line to all the other countries that do CBI. And I think that is what made the government of St. Kitts make such a drastic change.
Guys, do you know what I thought of when that happened? And I turned it over in my head and I said, maybe not, but then it's worth thinking about. I mean, what's so different about Dominica? Could it be, like, you remember I was saying that maybe Dominica, because they just started their due diligence, I guess, apparatus might not be as evolved as ours, right?
No.
Hey.
Dominica was sliding under the basically breaking the rules for quite some time.
But here's what I was thinking.
Like, you know, like there's a rule that you're supposed to have your hair 4 inches high. Dominica was doing 3.5 and hoping
Exactly.
that nobody noticed. Like, they were doing that for quite some time.
But-
And then some of the countries that were banned from applying to St. Kitts' program, Dominica was accepting. So they kind of were under the radar for a while.
But here's what I crossed my mind. Could it be that, is it because Dominica is a republic?
No.
No.
It
They
crossed
don't-
my
they
mind.
don't
I
even
mean,
care about
like
that.
I said,
No.
I
for
dismissed
them,
it as soon
let
as
me
I
tell you
thought
what
of
it
it. But
is.
then,
And I
you know,
always keep saying, like, I think it's insane because the countries that do due diligence are the same countries that are now turning around and saying your due diligence is not strong enough. So I think the whole thing is madness. But I still think that there's an ulterior motive.
Of course.
Like I said, it's the US and the UK, so FBI and Interpol, that does the due diligences. So if you're now saying the due diligence is not strong enough, what are you saying about yourself? So it's a crock. It's like the excuse is lame, right? It's just a method of control. But at the
Candy's
same
going
time,
in.
because I just feel the whole thing is madness. But at the same time, it's still worth beefing up your security because you don't want any and anybody to just slip through the cracks. The issue now is, like Azard alluded to, St. Kitts now has the most expensive program. So who's buying when St. Lucia, Antigua, Grenada, Dominica, those other countries have not upped their price?
You might know, but did they carry back up the prices? I know they had dropped the prices.
Sir,
maybe-
as
was it
of the
during-
27th of July, St. Kitts is the most expensive program.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of like that. That's
what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
better you bite the bullet now because it's coming down anyways. Like, they have their feet on our necks and their eyes on us anyways, right? So
yeah.
you might as well bite the bullet now, but at what cost? if you're going to do something that drastic, then you have to have a backup plan. So are we boosting tourism? Are we going to expand agriculture? What is our backup plan?
And the thing about it, we are in a place now that we are still, still not we're not feeling the full effects of the let's say CBI, goes down.
Yeah.
So we need to now start
Now
to
is
think.
the time. Before you made that drastic change, you should have already had something in your back pocket that you could pull.
Okay, guys, 9 o'clock. We have the good doctor. The good doctor, I like that. We have the good doctor.
We have the good doctor.
Yes.
I'm sitting here. So we have weekly dose coming up next. Let's go to the break.
Found the sound 98.9.
Life is unpredictable. Don't miss the opportunity to provide your loved ones with the financial protection and peace of mind coverage they deserve with the Family Indemnity Plan from Kuna Caribbean Insurance. The Family Indemnity Plan covers final expenses such as funeral costs and outstanding debt in the event you or your loved one passes away for up to $30,000. No medical examination is required. Contact your credit union or one of their approved Family Indemnity Plan providers to enroll today. To learn more, call 466-9453 or 762-2973. Visit their website at kunacaribbean.com. Kuna Caribbean Insurance, for all people.
Check this one out. Something smooth. Calm you down. Check out the story. You know what I mean? 1998. It's Vinny and Mojica. Pete Rock. Hey, yo.
Well, just like weekly dose, I have to get my. I often have to get my daily dose of boom bap. The beach. Hey guys, good morning. Time for weekly dose.
Good morning and welcome. How are you, Doc?
Good morning. I'm doing wonderful. Happy to be here with you guys this morning.
Doc, I was looking out for that email that indicates that, the doctor is going to be here. And I was like, what, Dr. Osborne ain't coming today?
I know. I kept checking mine too because I couldn't sleep last night. And I was just like...
I'm like, what's up with the doc?
What's up, Doc?
But today, what we're going to be doing...
Your cause for withdrawal symptoms.
Yes. Today,
it's serious.
We brought out our weekly dose bowl. This is going to be the
we
official...
have a weekly dose bowl, guys.
Guys, look
This
how
is precious.
shiny it
This is a nice bowl.
You need to decorate that with a bag of Hershey's Kisses.
Oh, wow.
So from time to time,
Not you
we'll bring
supporting
some...
cavities.
We'll bring some random questions and we'll discuss the questions. These are frequently questions asked, and based on the last couple of weeks, some of the topics and some of the questions that I see here, I've seen an increase in these in visits to the hospital, to my office, especially in this month. Very busy month we've had here. At the hospital during the surgical department.
Let me stir this up because
Yes.
I'm
Stir
all
it
excited
up,
now.
Candisie, stir it up.
Pretty
Ain't got something to stir it up.
frequent topics that we may have discussed before, but it's worth going over because our audience is growing, our base is growing. And once you see that something is recurring in the community, it means that we need to address it more and have more discussion on it and make sure people know how to go about accessing care, knowing what to do, knowing their symptoms, and knowing how to approach it.
Awesome.
So let's
Then.
get going.
Let's get going.
I'm gonna go first. Ladies first.
Okay, ladies
Go
first.
ahead.
Especially because
Random
I'm so curious.
questions.
Wow. What tests are used to diagnose gallbladder disease?
What tests are used to diagnose gallbladder disease? So that's something that we've been seeing quite a lot. Anything that affects the gallbladder can come under that topic, gallbladder disease. And we know we're seeing quite an increase of persons. One of the things that's happening in our community, we have a high obesity rate. That is a fact in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And lots of our female have a high body mass index. So what your question was, what are the common... repeat the question.
What tests?
The tests that
are
we
used
use
to diagnose
gallbladder disease. Usually what we start with, we get a routine blood test. You want to check your CBC. You've heard about some of these, which is a complete blood count. And in that, you're looking to see if the person has any signs of infection, where your white blood cells and these blood cells increase if there is infection. So you're looking for those to suggest if there is an infection, a cholecystitis in the gallbladder. You want to get your liver test, because remember, the bile is produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder. You want to see if certain enzymes in that area is elevated. Your bilirubin, you've seen patients with their eyes yellow. We call that jaundice. That is a result of high bilirubin, a particular liquid or substance inside of the blood. You want to test for that when you do your liver test. You want to also check for your pancreas and the different enzymes that are produced in the pancreas, because the gallbladder and stones can block the duct that leads from the pancreas, which is another organ, and give you an increase in these enzymes, causing what we call pancreatitis as well too, as a result of having gallstone. You want to then get your ultrasound, which is an imaging test, and you're looking to see if the gallbladder is inflamed, if there's stones in it, which most likely, because that is the most common reason to have gallbladder disease. Looking to see if there's inflammation, there may be any form of severe infection, and you're looking to see if any of these ducts that lead from the liver and the gallbladder are blocked by anything. And there are different things that you can go on to do, which we don't have access to, which is called a hydroscan, where you do, it's a more fancier test where you give the patient some contrast, and you're taking X-ray images almost to look at the gallbladder and see if it is blocked.
Wow.
A CT scan can also give you information on the gallbladder and whether it has gallbladder stones. And even in cases there are patients with gallbladder cancer, though it is a rare, it's a rare condition.
Wow.
Your turn.
Yeah, these are some heavy topics.
I'm telling you, gallbladder.
Why am I even shaking it up?
I don't even know. Just take one. I was like, he's just having a field day.
Go right ahead, Azard. We don't want to make go ahead,
So,
we want to lighten the mood.
It is, how is gallbladder disease treated, and how can I reduce my risk of gallbladder disease? So treatment and reduction of risk.
Okay, very important question. How do you decrease your risk of developing gallbladder disease? Exercise, weight loss. This is usually mostly seen in persons who are obese, persons who have a high body mass index, persons who have high cholesterol, persons that are diabetic. Those are persons who are increased risk of having gallstones or gallbladder diseases. Persons who have a family history. Sometimes your mother may have had gallbladder disease, and you and other siblings in the family. It is more frequently seen in Caucasians, though our population has a small Caucasian percentage. It is seen in persons who have things like sickle cell disease. And must have heard our community have quite a few persons who have sickle cell disease. Those persons tend to have an increase in stones that are called bilirubin stone, because of the high increase of the bilirubin there as a result of the breakdown of the red blood cells. It is seen in persons who have some other diseases as well. The persons with cirrhosis can have increase in having gallbladder disease. Persons with Crohn's disease, you've heard of these inflammatory bowel disease, all right? We said persons with diabetes, usually it occurs in females. Females who are obese, we said that usually it occurs in patients over the age of 40, but mostly as a person get older, you increase your risk of developing gallbladder disease and gallbladder disease. How do we go about treating it? One of the things we want to do, we want to make sure if the person then has a problem with the gallbladder, you want to treat it usually with antibiotic, because if it becomes infectious, you want to manage the pain. You want to make sure, tell the person to decrease the fat intake. Why the fat intake? Because the gallbladder produces or stores a substance that calls bile. Bile is responsible for the breakdown of fats. So once you have a meal that is rich in fats, what happens? The fatty food gets into the stomach, then it passes to the small intestine that stimulates the gallbladder to release this bile. What happens? The gallbladder contracts. But if the gallbladder is blocked with stone, when it contracts, it's going to give you pain. and that's a problem. So you want to make sure that you give the patient a diet that is reducing fat, pain medication, and ultimately these patients are going to require gallbladder surgery, which is called cholecystectomy, because once you start producing the stones in the gallbladder is no longer functioning well. Okay, and if a person is very sick and they cannot have a complete gallbladder removal, sometimes we may just go in, remove the stones, and leave a drain in, especially in the elderly persons who are frail and unable to be under general anesthesia for a long period of time, because this is a major surgery and will require general anesthesia. So that is some of how we go about treating the gallbladder disease, mostly with your antibiotics, your pain medication, your dietary change. Those are the medical aspect of it. And then the surgical aspect would be to remove the gallbladder, which is a cholecystectomy.
Yeah.
Guys, so
All right. I like this one. What is the main cause of hernia, and what risk factors contribute to getting a hernia?
yes, what is the main cause of hernia? We've spoken about hernias before, but it is one of the most, the number one, apart from appendix and appendix surgery, hernias are one of the most common, and it's the most common elective surgical procedure done. So you ask, what is a hernia? What is the main cause of hernia? Anywhere in the abdominal wall, where is your tummy, the wall there that protects everything on the inside, if there's a weakness or opening there, the content that is inside the tummy can push it through that defect, and then it can cause pain, it can cause discomfort and stuff, okay? And what are the risks of developing hernias? Some persons are born with hernias, especially with umbilical hernias. It's seen about 15% of newborns, which is a congenital cause. Those hernias, they're born with it. Usually if the child is premature, that can happen. And males have a high risk of having hernias that are down in the groin, which we call inguinal hernias. We've spoken about inguinal hernias before, and those can grow over time and become swollen and really large. So what contributes to this? Heavy weight lifting. Sometimes if you know gentlemen who work out in the field many years, or forefathers or grandparents, they work long hours lifting heavy things, sacks of potatoes, cane and all those, sugar cane and those things. Even now, because we're not out in the field so much, we're in the gym. So lots of the young men are lifting heavy weights in the gym. That can increase your risk of having hernias and stuff. Persons who are obese are at an increased risk. Those persons who have chronic cough, like anything that affects the lungs, we call them chronic diseases of the lung, that can increase your cough, and anything that increases the pressure in your tummy can cause you to create a hernia over time. Obesity, if you have disease like liver disease, you can have cirrhosis, and that can help lead to somewhere where there is increased pressure and formation of a hernia in the abdominal wall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Be careful in the gym.
I try not to lift things that would cause me to destroy myself.
Good response.
Some of the guys are in the gym and they're trying to lift more and more and more and more, and they're groaning and they're straining.
Overdoing it.
So it says, what is the function of the gallbladder? What is bile, and what does it do?
What is the function of the gallbladder? The gallbladder's function, the gallbladder stores and concentrates the bile. The bile is produced in the liver. It goes into that nice little organ. It's like a pear-shaped organ, and it stays there. A lot of the water is absorbed to the wall, and it is concentrated. So now when you eat this food and you have a meal that is rich in fat, you then have the gallbladder now to release this bile so that the fats can be digested, the fats that we eat in the food. What was the other part of the question?
Something about bile?
What
does it do?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is bile and what does it do?
So the bile is a substance. It's mostly made up of water. It is made up of bile salts, phospholipids, different component of it. And what does it do? We said that it's responsible for the breakdown of the fatty foods.
The function of the gallbladder.
And so the function of the gallbladder is just to release the bile when it is needed. It is there's a trigger. Once a person has a fatty meal, there are enzymes and triggers that are sent to the gallbladder. And the gallbladder does what? It contracts, And when it contracts, it releases or emits the bile that is inside it. The bile gets into the intestines, the small intestines, and it helps to break down the fat and and help in the absorption. Once it's broken down, it can be absorbed and used for nutrition.
Interesting. Like, so when you say, there's a comment where it's like, I can taste bile in my mouth. Is that actually something? Or it's just like, when you get like a bitter taste in your mouth, are you able to actually taste bile?
That's usually I think it's a combination of the acidic stuff in the stomach. That's sometimes when a person may have eaten something that upsets the stomach and all of that churning. Remember that food stays in the stomach and it's being broken down by the stomach acid. Sometimes that gives you back a sense of...
So it's possible?
Yes. And it's sometimes based on what it is, because if you have indigestion, you could have that sour taste in your mouth or so.
Right, okay. Like in the Caribbean, we just take things. I didn't know it was actually a thing.
Yeah.
I have no confidence it's gonna work, but let's try a call. Weekly Dose, you're on.
Hello.
Okay. Okay, man.
Well, at least this time we heard the dial.
Well,
you were having trouble with the
We
calls?
have trouble with the calls, yeah.
All right. So, how common is gallbladder disease, and who does gallbladder disease affect?
How common it is? It is common. It's seen in about 15% of the population. Lots of people have gallbladder disease over time. Lots of people have gallbladder stones or gallstones. Sometimes you do random studies and you just screen several persons looking to see if they have gallstones. They can have gallstones even though they do not have any symptoms. So about 15% of the population can have gallbladder disease or gallstones, but about only 20% ever have a problem with it, because you can go having 1 or 2 stones in your gallbladder and never have a symptoms. We said it is most common in persons as they get older in age, persons that are obese. Anybody who's usually obese because they have an increased cholesterol in their body. Cholesterol is a part of the components of bile as well. So that gets into the gallbladder, and over time what happens, it can crystallize. You remember science, when you have the salt water and you leave it out in the sun, it crystallizes. So there is over-concentration or supersaturation of whatever that's in the bile, and it's usually cholesterol, and then you have these stones that are cholesterol stones. Most of the stones are cholesterol stones. It is seen often in women that are pregnant. Anywhere, why is it more common? Because estrogen increases the possibility of patients having gallstones. That's why most persons have gallstones are females. When you're pregnant, what happens? There's stasis and stagnancy, and your gallbladder is not functioning as well as it should be. And then so the content is retained or detained in the gallbladder, leading to it developing gallstones inside there. We said persons who are sickle cell, persons who have diabetes are also at high risk of developing gallstones over their lifetime. Persons who have cirrhosis, which is where the liver is damaged a lot of time because of alcohol abuse and stuff. And what happens? You can develop gallstones as a result.
Oh.
My question now.
I love how he's reading it as if, like, he's in a pageant and he's getting points for this.
Yes.
What are hernia symptoms?
What are hernia symptoms?
Listen carefully. And what does a hernia look like? I will repeat the question.
Yes.
What are hernia symptoms and what does a hernia look like?
That is really intense, because sometimes in these pageants, the girls are so nervous. What is a
nonsense
hernia
that they
and what are the
answer,
hernia
I'm telling
symptoms? What does a hernia look like? Usually you're going to see a bulge. Some persons will say, Doc, I'm starting to see a bulge. A lady approached me the other day and had a 3-year-old girl and said, oh, she's seen a bulge down by her groin, or just that area where the hip meets the thigh, and she said, I'm seeing a bulge there, and sometimes it gets bigger. So just by saying that, it automatically makes one think, oh, that's a hernia. What are some of the symptoms associated with it? Sometimes you have no symptoms at all. You just see a bulge. Some persons may go years without having any complaints. You may have a dullness, a kind of pressure you feel there, an ache. The worst case scenario is when the hernia gets stuck inside the opening or the hole, and it squeezes and it becomes so painful. That's where a lot of time persons reach to the hospital and have to have an emergency surgery.
That's the inguinal one.
Yes, it could be an inguinal hernia. It could be a hernia by the navel as well, an umbilical hernia, which are two of the most common hernias that you see. And the patient are in excruciating pain because the content from inside, whether it be fat, whether it be bowel, gets squeezed or trapped inside of the hernia opening, and it causes so much pain. Nausea, vomits, and things like that. Those are the symptoms in the worst case scenario. But commonly the patient will have some dull ache, some discomfort from time to time, especially if they're physically active. They'll see that the swelling can come out and go in, and you will see a bulge there.
Wow.
Your turn to pick the question. She is unfolding the paper.
Go ahead, continue describing.
I know, right?
Now she is about to read. She clears her throat.
What is the treatment for a hernia?
What is the treatment for hernia?
And what happens if a hernia is left untreated?
Okay, what is the treatment for a hernia? Ultimately, not all hernias need to be fixed right away. But a hernia can have complications, and a hernia can then, but most times they will eventually, because they cannot be fixed with medication. No tablet can fix a hernia. So ultimately, whether it be now or maybe sometime later in the future, because a person can have a hernia and not have any symptoms, especially in children. It is known that most children between the age of 0 to 5, if they're born with a hernia, it can close over time. So these children, we often leave them, and these hernias can close over time. If it is a really large hernia, it may not close, but commonly they close by the age of 4 or 5. If you're going to intervene, it's usually because the child is having lots of symptoms, lots of pain, lots of complaints, because the hernia becomes trapped or the content becomes squeezed in the opening and create lots of pain. So the treatment is surgery. You can only repair it by surgery, whether it is laparoscopic, open using a mesh, which is a foreign body you can put there to cover the hole, all right? And what happens if it goes untreated? Over time, the hernia can grow bigger, especially the hernias that are in the inguinal region skull. Those will never close on their own. Those do not close spontaneously. And over time, you see patients present with you 20 years, 40 years down the line with a large hernia, because over time, as the wall gets weakened, the muscles get weakened, more comes out, most of the content. You've heard of us spoke about things like the old time days, bomb and co, and so those were what we call hernias, untreated, left for years. And what happens is the patients will wear big clothes to try to hide these hernias.
So, weird question, Doc. The mesh, the foreign thing, what happens to that? Does it stay there? Can it be absorbed in? Like, what happens?
No, it stays there. It's actually supposed to, what it does is almost cover the hole or the opening, the defect that is there, and it stays there. And it's almost like incorporated into the tissue, because the body starts to develop like fibrous kind of material and stuff around it, and it stays there forever. Like persons who have surgery, who have a broken arm, may have a plate, have metal plates and stuff inside them. It stays there.
I'm getting like a weird image in my head, even though I don't know what it looks like. Yeah, weird.
It's just a thin sheet of woven material, very, very thin.
Final question.
Final question. Gosh, you're a mess.
I would never like to be a pageant contestant. That is nerve-wracking.
Suspense. Think about when the results are coming and everybody's tired and want to go home, and whoever is delivering the results continue to give us suspense.
And we just be like, sir, could you just tell us who won?
What is a hernia? And what are some of the different types of hernias?
What is a hernia? We know that a hernia is a defect in the muscle or the abdominal wall, a weakness there. What happens, the abdominal wall is supposed to protect the organs and everything inside the tummy. But if there is an opening or it doesn't seal properly, there is that opening or defect that is covered by the skin, and the content, whatever it is, whether it be intestines, fat, especially by the navel, because during fetal development, the lateral walls or the side of the body comes together, and it's supposed to seal in the midline. And at the navel, that's where we call the umbilical cord comes out. And what happens, that there could be a defect and it doesn't seal properly and leaves that opening. And that's where you have umbilical hernias, which are very common in children, premature children, because it doesn't seal off completely. And so that is where that opening comes in, then the content can go in and out of that over time and create, and you've got a hernia. And your next question was what?
The different types.
The different types. Most of the abdominal hernias, we spoke about umbilical hernia, very common in the newborns, very common in children. Inguinal hernias, that's the one down by the groin, close to your private area. Those are really common, especially in males. Why is that? Because when the male is developing, the testis or the ball is developed inside the tummy, and as the fetus develops, it comes to it creates a track and goes down into the scrotum, and that's where it ends up, and that's where both of the testes. Like the women, we have our ovaries, but our ovaries remain inside. The male testes, they come out on the outside. Okay. And so during that development, it forms that track going down to the scrotal sac. And if there is a weakness or opening that remains here, a hernia can develop. And then content can push down into that. Usually bowels, fat. There's a layer of fat that is inside everybody's tummy that is called omentum. And that layer of fat protects the intestines because it comes down like an apron. And what happens, some of that fat content can get trapped in any of these hernia sacs. So the most common ones are hernia by the navel or the belly button, hernia down by the groin. There's one that's called the inguinal hernia, and there's a little one down further coming to the inguinal canal that's called the femoral hernia. We don't speak too much of that because that is very rare, that hernia there. But it's similar. It would create a lot of pain. You'll feel a bulge right down in that area. Yeah, those are the most common. And then also there are different hernias. After you have any surgery on the tummy, you can develop a hernia. Anywhere you would have had a previous surgical cut. Lots of women, after they have a cesarean section, they may have gone in for another type of surgery. Once you've cut into the abdomen, the wall is not as strong as it was before, and you could have that weakness and have that hernia. That is what we call an incisional hernia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like all the time, I just thought it was two.
Yeah.
So anywhere a person would have been have a previous surgery, they can develop a hernia at that site. Okay, for many reasons. Some persons, they do not heal well. Some persons for nutritional factors. Some persons who immediately after surgery start lifting heavy weights, weakening the abdominal wall. Different reasons like that.
And it doesn't have to be like when you say after surgery, like
if
recently or after.
Sometimes persons may, usually the problem would have occurred during the period post-op. Maybe later, a year or so later, you start noticing it. But usually it could have been technical difficulties, because sometimes if the person has a high body mass index, it makes it so much difficult to close the abdominal wall or close the tummy once you're repairing it. And some of these persons can have defects or hernias that develop over time. Persons who are diabetic, persons who have other disease, okay? They're immunocompromised, kidney disease, so their healing process may be lengthened, and those persons can develop a hernia.
Wow. It has been an interesting morning.
It has been.
And you know what I keep thinking? I keep thinking that you prefaced this whole segment by saying things that have been popular in the hospital over summer, like in the last
couple of months.
Weeks. So hernia and gallbladder disease.
I don't know if popular is the right word, but I know what you mean.
Too popular, common
to see,
frequent.
Frequently seen conditions. And so we cannot get weary of discussing it and talking about it, because persons are going to always come into our practice, come to the hospital, and they're concerned that some persons do not know what it is that's going on, and that is where education and enlightenment is important.
Well, thank
Preach.
you very much. I know, right?
No.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh, I'm so sad that we weren't able to get any callers.
Yes,
Yeah,
our
I know.
phone lines are acting crazy.
They have me working since yesterday.
They haven't been working, huh? Whose server it is?
Several.
All.
Yeah.
466, 662, 762.
Wow.
All of them are acting crazy. So,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that because our Facebook wall has been lit, so we have some budding doctors here, because somebody already said surgery when we were asking how do you treat hernia. So we know that they're listening there.
Man, we always have, when you say budding surgeons, we've always have patients, somewhat some conflict. Oh, my neighbor says this. You give them, everybody
I'm
is
telling
a
you what's
doctor.
wrong. And I'm a Google doctor.
Yes.
So when something go wrong, and I will put in different words to make sure that is the right thing coming up. I'm a Google doctor.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in
It's
today.
always a pleasure to be here with you guys to have some fun. All right.
Yes. All right, guys.
So I wish everybody out there listening to us a wonderful day. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye-bye.
It's 9:30.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Buster, roll it up, meet the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living for the color. I know black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life. Fruta full of vitamin thing. Real fruit juice, not full of vitamin. Pop open the goodness, just dive in. Fruta every night, fruta every morning.
It's the amazing taste and quality in fruit juice you've come to know and love. Anytime, anywhere, any occasion. Fruta is your tastier, better, healthier choice.
We got the vibes, fruta. Real nice, fruta.
And for the families, remember to pick up the 1 liter.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere.
Natural hazards and disasters are all around us. They can affect us by day or by night, when we're at work and even at play. Tell me, would you know what to do if the earth starts to quake or the mountains erupt? Well, the best thing to do is to educate yourself on what to do before, during, and after. Your local disaster office can help you with that. Do you have a family plan? If not, please get one. It can save your life and lives of those you love. Community resilience starts with you and me, so do your part to ensure safety.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, you better prepare.
Caribbean tourism is dead in the water and wholly dependent on what's next in the United States, Europe, and Canada.
global cases have now passed 13 million just 5 days after we hit the 12 million mark.
In Jamaica, residents of the parish of Hanover are in shock over the brutal slaying of 6 family members on Thursday night.
Chauvin had his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds in total.
It's too much. It's too...
The news does not always have to be about this. There's a lot of good news, good stories, good people, good ideas to talk about. So listen up on Thursdays to Only Good News with your host, Enoite Inanga, from 7 to 8 p.m. It's going to be only good news for 1 hour, where we will share good news from stories and people, locally, regionally, and all over the world. And there's more. You will get to hear from people telling their stories of success, breakthroughs, and perseverance as we feature a special guest each week. It's Only Good News, and it's happening this Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. right after the, regular news. Only Good News on WINNFM 98.9 and WINNFM.com.
Try to find a way to spend your time in positivity.
And we are back, and Dwight Astafan had wanted to weigh in on
which one?
Something that Azard said earlier.
Which one?
Wanted to clear up the
was
aquifer.
Was it CBI? Was it? Oh.
CBI and the aquifer thing.
So what happened? Did he send a message? Did he call?
No, I'm gonna call him now. And
okay.
Okay, awesome.
But also there was a comment for you, Candy.
Which one?
Let me see.
What topic?
The person says the 70% figure is wrong. I don't know. That was in reference to what?
CBI.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister gave a speech last week, Thursday, where he said 55 to 70% was based on earnings from CBI. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess,
I'm just repeating what the Prime Minister said.
He probably wasn't saying that you were wrong, but maybe they meant that. And he said Interpol is not a review agency. What alternative is she proposing?
What are they referring to? I was saying that due diligence checks are done by the UK and the US. And of course, they would use their law agencies. What is the highest law agency or law review place in the UK? Or, in the UK. Isn't it Interpol? What is it? If you're going to get a police report, so if you're issuing a police bulletin, right? If you're going to find out if this person is wanted, where would you check in the UK?
I guess it would be Interpol, yeah.
All right, then. Well, look at that.
But at the same time, he's right in saying it's not.
I don't know what agencies the CIU use, because I don't work there. But my point is that when we're sending off CIU or applicants to find out what their background checks are, to do a background check on them, you would check Interpol and the FBI, because Interpol is for the UK and the FBI is for the US. And that was my point.
A follow-up came. It says
clearly, I don't work at the CIU.
A follow-up came in reference to the 70% figure is wrong. It says it's about 30 to 40% of annual spending, not 70%.
I'm not doing a back and forth with this person. I'm repeating what the Prime Minister said.
Okay. Let's not fight.
That is not even my field.
Fight no more. You know that song?
Of course I know that song.
So I'm calling Dwyer now. So I hope he's. I told him I would call him. Maybe I should have WhatsApped. I did tell him I was going to WhatsApp him when I was ready. But hey, Dwyer. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
You are on. You ready? Or did I?
Yes, man.
Okay.
Good
go
morning.
Ahead. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'm trying to get out of the bread.
Yeah.
Hold on, the guy was gonna hit me.
Oh, you're driving.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to respond to something that Azard spoke about earlier in relation to the Bastia High School.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. If you're doing something that is wrong or something that is risky and you do not know, then that is one thing. But if you do find out that what you're doing is wrong and risky, I don't think it is prudent to continue or repeat it. Now, with regard to the location for the Bastia High School and the aquifer, Azard had said that the whole of Bastia is an aquifer. Well, it doesn't mean that you make what is already a bad situation worse, especially with the scientific information available. For example, the threat of salt water compromising not just salt water, but possibly fecal matter compromising that particular area. Now, there's another thing that Azard needs to consider. It's something called the National Conservation Environmental Protection Act. Under that act, that particular aquifer is designated as a protected area. And there are certain very strict prohibitions against activity in protected areas under the law. And there's a reason for it. And in fact, that reason should be accentuated in the minds of all of us by the fact that water has become such a problem, not only here, but globally. So if I got the impression that Azard was trying to rationalize the decision to place the school up there, then I would want him to review his position. If my perception is wrong, then of course I'd ask him, I'd be glad to be corrected.
Okay.
But it would be foolhardy. And one of the questions that maybe the former Prime Minister could have answered last night is why $15 million was spent on fees for that particular project without even a concrete block being put there. And with regard to the development bank, it seems to me more than odd and more than curious. Former Prime Minister would say it's not just the development bank that borrowed money from Social Security, it's other entities. In other words, I think the young lady there mentioned it. Maybe in other words, the Social Security was a piggy bank. Our money, our savings, our future, our pension was being used as a piggy bank, and not just by the Harris administration, but by the one prior to it. So the former Prime Minister has a lot of penance to give and a lot of accounting to give. And these mistakes and misdeeds must not be countenanced or rationalized. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, before you go, Mr. Asafan, I just wanted to say those were not my personal positions.
I'm hardly hearing you.
Before you go, I want to say those were my personal positions because I wasn't intimately involved in the decision when the Bastia High School was placed there. I was just saying.
No, I'm not saying you were.
Yes.
I'm not saying you were.
I was just saying that.
But I got the impression you were rationalizing.
I wasn't
the decision to put the school on the Africa.
No, I wasn't rationalizing. What I was doing, I was saying the arguments for and the arguments against. And I was saying that those who support the Bastia High School being placed there, they are saying also that the entire or almost most of the area there is on the aquifer. So I was really repeating what proponents of that school being there would have echoed.
Don't go. I want to tell you something. Yeah. Okay, so, but those arguments really are very weak and
so the arguments weren't mine. I was just putting forward
No, I know.
Yeah,
okay, the arguments were not yours.
Oh, yes.
The arguments were not yours. Okay.
Yes.
But there's no way that school could have gone on that aquifer. Remember, read the NCPA, Azard, and read the protocols in the act.
Yes.
Regarding protected areas. They would have need to change that act or break the law if they were going to build a school there.
Okay.
And I have no knowledge that the act was amended.
Okay. No problem. Thank
And
you.
remember, Patches Liebert himself was in charge of the Bastia Aquifer Valley entity, whatever that was called. It was to be protected, not made a busy area with 900 children and 100 teachers and 50 toilets. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, great.
Thank you. There's someone who now messaged me because persons are listening. They're saying next to where they are proposing to build a new smart hospital is about 50 yards from a well that pumps water into the reservoir that feeds the whole of the McKinley area. Should that be done? So that's someone who just messaged me as well in relation to that.
Oh, right, because they kind of had like a little ceremony thing just past Matinee, right? When they said they're going to put the new smart hospital there.
Yes.
So is it on the mountain side or the seaside?
Where the smart
mountain side.
It's like obliquely across from where they were building those university houses, right? That's what they call it, university garden houses.
Yeah, you know where the nursing school is?
Yeah.
The
Opposite that,
side.
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Wow.
Okay.
So there are aquifers all over and we still having this water issue?
Well, you know, but he made a good point. Dwyer made a good point
Which
about
one?
Dwyer, because I mean,
No, which
you
point?
know,
Like, go ahead, expound.
well, about the fecal intrusion being, that would be an issue all over. I mean, if you're gonna say that it's basically everywhere is aquifer, obviously, you know, there are gonna be areas where you're gonna have fecal intrusion into the water table. So yeah.
And then there are persons who
and other contaminants.
There are also persons who are against the Bastia High School being placed on the site that it once was, and persons who have evidence that, you know, something was happening up there. So it's gonna be a Bastia High School saga. How and when does it conclude?
Just build a school. Figure it out. Build a school. Let's have the same energy that we have in for the other school, for Bastia High School.
Which other school?
The other school.
There's other school?
The other school that they're complaining hasn't been rebuilt in a year.
That fire.
Let's have that same energy.
When did this fire happen? Actually, was it?
The fire happened last year.
Just before the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it happened before the election. But it was during I think the contentious period, you know, the campaigning back and forth, yes. About that.
I don't like the fact that schools are being used as tools for political gimmicks.
Yes.
Because you know who's suffering? The children.
Exactly. I didn't even realize that thing hadn't been.
Even now, it's still a bone of contention.
Yeah.
And the children are where in the Explorers Club, and where are the Explorers out of the club? Like,
And I heard Jeffrey talking last week about, there was a story last week about, and you know, this bears mentioning about the fact that, okay, we're building this school, and you know, people are saying that the other schools need to be upgraded, but we have to start somewhere. So let's build the Bastia High School, and then we worry about the other schools.
well, you know which team I'm on. We had this whole conversation last week.
You have some.
I think Azard was out, right? When Mr. McMahon called. So you have to start somewhere.
Exactly, and then you could move.
But don't just use it as a political gimmick. Be serious. Come on, man.
And that Molyneux school, that really needs to be addressed as well. I didn't even realize that hadn't been taken care of. What's it called? This Explorers Club. Is that like
another bone of
it's like a community center type deal?
So the Explorers Club is a club that was built for that purpose. So the building was built to house a club that was created by Inspector Isles for the children of the Molyneux and Phillips's area. When the school suffered by fire, the building was lent to them for the 5 days a week during the school period for the children to have their classes there. Now, things have changed. So the Explorers are now out of a club, and it's being solely used for school.
So is this building big enough to house the school?
It's relatively big.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay.
basketball court at the back, and there's a little playground on the side. But the one of the main issues is that
Yes, the Explorers are
now out of house and home.
Yeah.
After just lending it for 5 days a week. So, yeah. I recently did a community project with them, and yeah.
Hello? Island Tea? I'm just trying and hoping against hope. Still nothing.
So you got to call
You're
everybody
actually hearing
in to check it.
You're actually hearing the line. You're hearing the line
static.
noise.
Yeah, I'm hearing the static, but you're not hearing the person.
Yeah.
You're going to have to call everybody in Flow and Digicel to come and check their apparatus.
Yeah, I've already told them that they need to come and check these lines.
Yeah, but on both ends, it's the children that are going to Bastyr High School, it's the children that are going to Joshua Obadiah, and it's the Explorers. And the common denominator in all of this are the children. And everybody's just talking, and nothing is being done. Like, can we please see some action on the ground?
Wow.
And even if it's going to be an up-to-date school, well, fine. Let's start there, and then the others will be upgraded to match. But you can't not start because it's going to be an upgraded school and it's going to be better than the others. What?
Yeah.
It's a poor excuse. It's just, yeah.
So Friday's the 8th, 8 and 7 is... Oh, so I mean, National Heroes Day falls on a Saturday.
It does?
What use is that?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Independence is on a Tuesday, so you'll get a holiday.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. But
So we go back to work Monday, then we go on vacation on Tuesday. Well,
Yeah.
get a holiday on Tuesday. And there's a lecture happening. I was trying to remember what day it was because I want to go get my book signed by the only living national hero.
Oh, they have announced
Oh,
who the guest lecturer is
What do you mean?
for Independence.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's what I
the
meant, yeah.
People's Action Movement is hosting a lecture on the 11th of September.
The 11th, that's a
where
Monday.
the first Prime
Next week
Minister
Monday.
and only living national hero, Sir Kennedy Simmons, would be the guest lecturer.
Right.
And he will be
I woke up this
speaking-
morning trying to remember what day it was.
The 11th is at Kuna.
What time?
7
Oh,
o'clock.
okay.
So if I'm late, can you get
I
my
think
book
it's
signed
7:30,
still?
but it'll be good for you to be there for 7.
Okay.
I'm just
Ag-
telling him if
again,
I'm late,
that's
can you
good.
get my book signed? And he goes, you have to be there for
Oh,
7.
he's gonna have books again. Okay, because
No, Candy has a book.
No, but he's gonna have books selling again, right?
I don't
we
know if
don't
he's
know.
going
Because
to bring with books.
I got an impression
be a
that
good
books
idea.
had sold out, and then they had to. Get
Yeah, he had
more
to
and-
order
and-
more.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting
But
read.
Candy wants a
Yeah.
book signed, and she should come to the lecture to get it signed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's
Imagine.
he's a pretty engaging guy. I mean,
Yeah.
remember
Let
we-
me
yeah.
tell you.
No.
So it's Kuna the 11th of September. I think the 11th of September.
Have you
today is-
gotten the Independence
Program?
the photo that's going around with the activities listed? Like, I keep seeing it, but it's
No.
so tiny that I can't read it.
Let me see if Pino has.
Like,
sent
all
it.
I know is that Friday you wear yellow because that flyer is really big, but I can't read anything else. And I've screenshot this thing several times.
Yeah, it really does.
It's really tiny, and no matter how you zoom in. So
Oh,
can someone
so-
please send us that?
I know you say you didn't want to go back and forth, but okay.
Can somebody
All
please
of
send
it
us
is not.
the
All of it is
thing?
not. He said Interpol is not a UK agency; it is an international agency. She shouldn't insist on being right when she's not sure of her facts and moving along to something else. Funny that the hospital will be smart, but there are no such claims for the school.
So, like we were saying, the Independence calendar, does anybody have a copy of that? Because I have not been able to read. I think that's the topic we were actually on, the Independence activities.
Okay.
So stay focused. Yeah.
No. They came in, so I just thought that. You mean because we're winding down? It's what 7 minutes to 10. So I thought that was.
Do you have a copy of it, Azard?
I saw it around, but as you said before,
It's really tiny.
the design is very pretty, but in terms of being able to read it,
Okay, let me see if Pino.
and I have
sent anything.
20/20 vision.
You do?
Yeah.
I've seen you squinting. Don't even try it.
No, but I've tested these eyes before, and the doctor doesn't tell me otherwise.
Also, do you have a
You're
problem?
paying off that doctor.
Do you have the problem when you're driving? Well, I get the impression it doesn't happen so much when you're in a SUV. But do you have the problem where when you're driving, the modern vehicles, the headlights are really bright, where you're almost blinded, and sometimes you even slow down and have to pull to the side of the road if there is something.
You mean the traffic? The person coming
oncoming.
towards you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sometimes the sun is really blinding too. Early.
The sun? Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
Yes. Have you ever tried driving towards the country in the afternoon?
Well, yeah, but
when the sunrise, during the sunrise, that period,
you put down the shade.
When the sun is setting too, sometimes.
Yeah. When the sun is setting, you're right.
Sometimes it's just blinding.
Yeah, my instructor told me look slightly off to the left, like you can't look directly at it. So, and this is years ago, but.
Yeah, that's true.
I think at a certain age, everybody needs to get glasses to drive in the night, because I've seen quite a few of my friends with them.
Yeah, they have
glasses.
For driving at night.
Actually sharpens up the vision. You'd be amazed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Not you freaking out over there. I know where this comment is gonna go.
So
yes, Azard, it's an age thing.
So nothing here from Pino. So I don't know if it was
Pino?
Pinocchio.
Oh.
I don't know if anything.
You and the short-term names.
Everybody knows Pino.
Yeah, man.
How do you not know?
Exactly.
But who says Pino?
Everybody says Pino. Come on.
Everyone says Pinocchio.
No. You're the only one that still says that, because everybody shortened it years ago.
You're the only formal guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, everybody shortened it years ago. Yeah. Sorry.
you probably say hello, Mr. Pinocchio, when you see him.
Leave my host alone.
Like I said, hello, Trevor Woodley. How are you doing today?
You want him to lose his mind?
Do we know who Trevor Woodley is?
Do you want him to lose
Here
his
we
mind?
go.
See?
Here we go.
Touché. But for real, can someone send us the Independence calendar of activities? Because the only thing that we know.
Well, I just looked at.
But when you zoom in, it's blurred.
I'm going to save the photo. It's on SKNIS. I'm going to send it to you.
Are you able to zoom in and read?
And
exactly.
You have to zoom in to read, actually.
Yeah, but it's blurred when you zoom in.
Because of these 2020.
Look at you. Drop it like it's hot.
Let me look at it. So it's
I'm seeing it. Go ahead.
Oh, you are?
This is a better copy.
It says the 4th, which was yesterday, new school year begins. The 6th, seniors funded. The 7th, cabinet primary school
visit. So there's nothing today?
What's today, 5th?
Yeah.
Nothing today. The 8th is yellow and a national sneaker day.
Oh.
And also cabinet primary school visits, West Zone. The 9th is Caribbean wellness walk, cultural bar crawl, independence fair, and fashion extravaganza. Movies of St. Kitts and Nevis at NEPAC. The 11th is the visit to the school by ministers of government, patriotic programs, and independence street for schools.
Wait. So the red, they indicate there's red meaning Nevis.
Oh yeah.
And green meaning St. Kitts.
No, but you really.
Yeah, because NEPAC is in Nevis.
Let me see.
Look at the side of it, Mr. 2020. See it? The little red thing says Nevis, and the green one means St. Kitts.
Let me see if that applies elsewhere, because look
Everywhere.
at it. Okay.
You see at the sides of all of them? So which one do you want to read? Because on the 12th in St. Kitts, there's a Prime Minister lecture series. Whereas in Nevis, there's a visit to the school by the ministers. See?
Yeah, I see. It follows the logic that you have made. Wow.
I guess that.
It's so interesting that you had to zoom in so far to see. It has a lot. The poster does have a lot of detail, but you really have to zoom in to actually see it.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
You all need to send it to me, because
So you mean you don't have it?
We're about to charge you.
I know normally Pinocchio would send that kind of stuff. But
See, he call him Pinocchio now.
Well, everybody. I mean, it's just like sometimes I say Azard, sometimes I say AZ.
Oh, for the love of everything holy! I'm tired of the two of you.
I'm gonna say Candisie. I say Candy. You know.
I've never gotten Candisie. You never call me Candisie. I always get Candy, which is fine. Which is fine.
You know the song, I Want Candy? Jamster is too old for that song.
Which one that is?
Shots fired.
I don't know that one.
Shots
I
fired.
thought he was gonna sing the cameo one.
Is it I Want Candy or I Love Candy?
No, it's I Want Candy. He's just pulling your legs. Yeah, he's pulling your legs.
No, you do your Jamster.
I don't know that one, honestly. No, honestly.
Where have
I
you
Want
been?
Candy.
Where have you been?
Candy?
Have you been
But
living?
who's that one by?
No,
No, seriously.
You don't know?
Ugh.
Maybe you should look it
I
up.
know
for
the cameo one.
Which one do you know?
The cameo one.
No.
Just like.
Do you have the spin? Do you have the,
No,
the spin
not that
cycle
one.
to that?
No.
Oh boy.
Jamster. Where
Not
have
you make Azard know a song and you ain't know it.
Wait, let me. Put,
I know,
Go
right?
ahead. Go in for the jugular.
Yes.
Go, Azard. Go.
What's wrong with the world?
So Jamster, what rock have you been living on that you don't know the song? I Want Candy. Dun-it. Where have you been, Jamster? What have you been listening to?
That must be some song from your alternate universe.
I'm just glad the camera is off.
For the sake.
That song exists, sir. Let me tell you.
I can't believe.
Me neither.
that
And now he's trying to
Jamster-
bluff it off.
That Jamster would not know that song.
Well.
Can't know every song.
You know, this is something
Of
that
all
could be.
the songs
This is
It could
something.
be-
to not know.
It could be that. It could be that you're so out of tune. I can't figure it
I
out.
knew he was gonna come with that.
But Candy
The
knows the
strange
song.
loves.
Oh no, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that.
Oh
Honestly,
my
no.
goodness.
Strange Loves, no.
Yes.
Yeah. But you never.
Where you guys heard that song?
Nobody
is
ever
Is it a rock
thinks
song?
like who sang it, right? But
Yeah.
everybody knows the song.
Or what?
I want
Maybe,
candy.
maybe if I hear it, I would know it. But yeah, it's not a song.
Wow.
This seems like remember when we had to explain to him WhatsApp statuses and how to look at them.
It's not that
I
I didn't
am
know.
leaving the studio.
Listen, it's not that I didn't know what they were. It's just that I never used them because I didn't really see what
You've
the,
been missing
you know,
half your life.
I didn't see what the use was. You know.
When this
We're
show,
coming around there to
when
play
this-
it for you.
When
I
this
mean,
show,
because-
when this show is over, Jamster, because it's 10:01. I'm going to go on the YouTube. That's a device we use to play music at
I'm gonna
times.
say
and
goodbye
invite
and come
videos.
off.
YouTube is a device.
Wow.
Well, it's a platform.
Okay.
It's a platform.
Okay.
And so
You get your terminology right,
Yes.
Mr. Lawyer boy.
Thank you. It's a platform, an online platform.
What's happening here?
So what I'm going to do,
Beam me
Jamster,
up, Scotty.
I am going to look for the song and I'm going to have it played so you can see and you can hear. Well, you can hear. Sorry, so you can hear the song. I'm going to introduce you to a new song today. I feel very proud.
Okay. I hope you have the day you deserve.
Wow. I missed you guys
okay,
yesterday.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. So, oh yeah, I was forgot to tell y'all. Monarch is gonna come tomorrow at 9:30. So I'm gonna call him.
This
today
is
to
his
remind him.
interview that he missed last week?
Yeah. Did
you tell him he has
it
to
was
pay extra?
rescheduled. He's gonna. Yeah, yes, of course. So he's gonna come at 9:30.
Maybe he can bring a printout of the Independence Day.
Imagine.
Yeah,
Candy,
yeah, okay,
imagine
I'll ask him if he has.
Where he
yeah.
having fun talk and Janster has to be Mr. Serious.
Oh,
and
That's
talk
not
about,
serious.
And talk about an
Carnival?
interview for tomorrow.
That's not serious stuff.
Full
Carnival?
circle. Full circle this
That is
morning.
good stuff. That's
Full
fun stuff. You know.
No. Admit that you got it handed to you this morning.
Not really.
This is his payback
Why
for,
don't
us,
you like no?
for you telling him that this morning.
You are super
I'm
serious.
talking about Carnival. I'm serious. No, I'm.
You're talking about a serious
I'm-
interview tomorrow.
I can't even help you right
I'm
now,
looking forward to the
Jamster.
Sugar Man segment tomorrow, and you call me being serious? Come on,
I
man.
can't help you right now.
Come on, man.
We're gonna play some light music for you.
Carnival. That's like saying
that's I want Candisie song, so you could have a light moment.
But that's exactly
because I want him to play it when I get in here tomorrow.
That's exactly like if I was saying, the music festival chairman is Alistair's gonna be here tomorrow. That would be like him saying, we're here joking around and you're going to be gone.
I get what he means though, because you're talking about interviews and we're talking about like we're laughing and giggling.
Are you saying that
I can't even come on your side
Carnival
right
is
now.
serious things too. You have to talk about the budget. You have to talk about the marketing. You have to talk about so many things. It's not just about
you
the
sponsors.
The sponsors. So you see all that goes through Carnival. It's not just being on the road. A lot of things go behind it, and that's what you want to talk about tomorrow, Jam Stuff. That is the serious business that I know you want to talk about tomorrow.
I'm just over here trying to say bye to the audience and the two of you having that.
It's too early for that. It's September 5th. You're not going to be killing Monarch with the questions about, the budget and all this stuff.
Better believe it. He better come prepared. Have a good day, guys.
Okay, guys.
Y'all are a mess.
I think I need breakfast now.
Yes, me too. All
okay,
right.
I see y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.